President Biden has announced the creation of the first federal office on gun violence prevention. He says it'll save lives as Congress is stalled on passing tighter gun laws. Vice President Kamala Harris will oversee the new office. Its goal is to find new actions on gun control the White House can take without Congress, including by identifying potential executive actions and working with local governments to pass laws on the state level. Biden says the office will work just like FEMA and will coordinate support for survivors, families, and communities affected by gun-related violence. But Republicans are sounding the alarm on the new office, and over 20 Republican senators have introduced new legislation they say would prevent Biden from declaring a public health emergency to impose gun control. And for more on this, we want to bring in retired U.S. Navy officer and New Jersey Police Detective Lieutenant Stephen Rogers. Good morning. It's good to have you, Lieutenant, this morning. So on the White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention, can you start by just telling us what you know or what you expect so far about how this office intends to increase gun safety?
Well, look, it's another waste of time, another waste of taxpayer dollars. They have stated it as part of their mission is to increase gun safety programs throughout the country. Well, they ought to do some research. They'll find out that the NRA, for example, has one of the most effective gun safety programs that are now being utilized in a lot of schools, elementary schools and high schools, as well as civic organizations across America. Their intent is a waste of time.
Well, and then gun shootings and gun safety is still a big issue in this country, though. And then what do you think they should do, or what ideally do you think would want to see from this office for it to maybe make an impact?
Well, I'd like them to fund police departments to give law enforcement agencies from the federal to local level the tools they need to fight gun violence. Look, President Biden says that this is a public health issue. No, it's a criminal justice issue. So what I'd like to see this commission do is to disband and utilize resources of our government into areas that will be very, very effective, which is crime prevention against gun violence.
If you can go in a bit more detail about this, I spoke to an attorney earlier, Edwin Walker. He was saying that there's actually plenty of gun laws out there in place. There's just not enough being done so that they're being enforced properly on a local level. So what's your stance on this? And, how do you think or what do you think can change this?
Well, he's right. I'll give you an example. Washington, D.C. and other cities around the country have the toughest gun laws, and there's still a lot of gun violence. The way you're going to solve the problem is, on a local level, is make sure your district attorneys and your prosecutors and attorney generals send these people committing violence by guns to prison and put them in there. Bail reform has released them on the streets. People who have committed great atrocities with guns are being released. So that's what you've got to do. You got to get tough on crime, and you'll see a reduction in violence via guns.
Right. And another point to this is that gun safety advocates have actually been pushing for an office like this for quite a while. Now, why do you think the administration or President Biden just created this office now?
Well, he created it now because to begin with, there are a lot of state elections coming up this November. You've got congressional elections and obviously a presidential election coming up very soon. It's always about politics when it comes to the Biden administration, and may I add, the Democrats. This is they're trying to create a political situation where they're going to just appease those advocates and their base. This is a real serious problem. It should be bipartisan. And the way you get it effectively done is you enhance the ability of law enforcement to do their job.
So you say they did it because the elections are coming. How do you think it will affect him in the election?
Well, I'll tell you, it'll certainly galvanize the base, and I'm talking about the Republican Party base, the Second Amendment advocates. It'll galvanize them to finally get out en masse and to make sure that the Second Amendment is protected.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Lieutenant Stephen Rogers, for your time this morning and your insights. I appreciate it.
Well, always a pleasure. Thank you.